Hey everybody, today I'm going to try the prime rib brunch at the South Point Hotel at the Garden Buffet. Nowadays, prime rib for $23 is a pretty good deal here in Las Vegas. You can find a couple of cheaper ones like at the California for like $15.90 something I think. Here it's $23.95 with the player's card. Otherwise it's $26.95. Just takes a minute to make. Just go to the Players Club and you can make this card and get $3 off. I came in through the southwest entrance near the sports book because I knew it was a little closer, and I found out they had this hot dog stand, $1.50 hot dogs. Pretty good if you're watching a game. When I arrived, it was a Sunday around noon and it was packed. The line was pretty long. I waited about 40 minutes, so I guess 40 minutes isn't as bad as waiting on the longer lines on the strip. The buffet is not going to be as large or as grand as some of the premium ones, but then think about it, you're only paying $25, which is a lot cheaper than the strip. I came here for the prime rib, so everything else is a bonus, like the Eggs Benedict. And this is a weekend brunch, so there will be a lot of breakfast items. If you follow my channel, you should all know that buffets for me aren't as good as regular restaurants because the food is mass produced and the quality of the food might not be as good as a regular restaurant. But sometimes an all-you-can-eat deal is good for me because I eat a lot. And so sometimes I get more for my money, especially if it's like $23. So I wanted the prime rib, but on the way I ran into the Eggs Benedict and some breakfast items. And since it's a brunch buffet, I might as well eat some breakfast items. They had your standard breakfast items like your sausage patties, your bacon. They had some peel and eat shrimp right next to the sausage and bacon. I guess they had some extra trays available. They also had some omelet stations. They have two of them. There's a little square island in the middle of the buffet and there's one on each side of the square. Omelets are really good, especially since they're made to order. I haven't had an omelet at an omelet station in a buffet that was bad. They're all pretty good. But I love Eggs Benedict, so I had to get the Eggs Benedict. As you notice, one of them appears to be missing the sauce, the hollandaise sauce, but the egg looked like it was more fresh than the other ones. And it definitely was. The yolk was still runny, it was poached perfectly. The only problem I had was with the English muffin on the bottom. I also had a similar problem with that at the Main Street Station buffet. They get kind of hard, sometimes rock hard. The sausage patty was below standard, below average. I really didn't like it. It was kind of tough, lacked seasoning, but I liked the Eggs Benedict. Even with one of the English muffins being a little bit hard, it wasn't bad. It was still okay. So for the money, this is all a bonus, remember, because I came for the prime rib. The food here for the breakfast items, I would say was about average. The seasoning on the breakfast potatoes was interesting. It had more of a Mexican flavor to it. The hash browns weren't as crispy as I'd like them to be, but it wasn't bad. And I couldn't help but grab a Meat Lover's calzone. Where's the cheese on this calzone? I didn't get any cheese. It's like they forgot to put the cheese in there, or it doesn't come with cheese. I don't know. I'm used to having some good mozzarella cheese in my calzone. So that was my first plate, and here is the salad bar with your standard salad items. It wasn't extremely large as far as the number of items, but they had fruit and some variations of different kinds of salads. I decided to skip the salad altogether because I can't eat as much as I used to, so now I'm going for the prime rib, and that's what I came for. Here's the other omelet bar, which is on the other side of the first one I showed you. Usually the prime rib here is pretty good, and you can see that in the reviews as well, but every roast is different, and this one I think was a little bit well done, as you'll see later.
That's good. Thank you, Bonnie.
Every time I post a prime rib video, I get some people commenting saying, that doesn't look cooked, it looks red and rare. Prime rib is supposed to be reddish in color. It's a little different from your steak. But I gotta say, this thing looked gorgeous. And when it comes to eating steak or prime rib, you're gonna have two opposite ends of the spectrum. Some people are gonna like it medium rare or rare. Some people are gonna like it well done or grilled or blackened because they can't stand the color, because it makes them feel like it's not cooked, or they just like it that way. A lot of people were getting their prime rib cuts grilled or blackened. They will do that for you. You just request it and they'll put it on the grill and cook it some more. But I'm on the medium rare side, where it comes out at its most tenderest state. That's the way I like my prime rib, but to each their own. The rib cap was delicious. The prime rib was actually pretty soft. It was pretty tender. Even though it looked like it was a little bit overcooked, it was still tender. Believe it or not, because I thought it would be more tough than it actually was. And I actually thoroughly enjoyed this prime rib. I got a thick cut, as you can see, and I love to have my prime rib with a little bit of creamy horseradish. And this is what I came for, a big thick cut of prime rib for 23 bucks, 25 with tax. But there are so many other items. It's just a bonus with all the variety here. If you're a big eater, you can really get your money's worth. Now there are other prime rib specials around town. Like I mentioned, the California Hotel has a prime rib cut for like $15.95, but it's nowhere near the size of this one. And then there are some thicker cuts like at Ellis Island and Jerry's Nugget. You can see my videos on my playlist, but the prices have gone up. Now at Ellis Island, it's like $21.99 for a prime rib that's a little smaller than this one. And then at Jerry's Nugget, you can get a bigger one, even bigger than this one, but it's gonna cost you. Here's a comparison of the price a year and a half ago versus the price now. But the prime rib at Jerry's Nugget is probably one of the best that I know. And they also have a specialty prime rib restaurant here at the South Point Hotel. You can see my video in my playlist. The seafood section here was a little bit misleading, because when I went to the seafood section, I found pancakes, French toast, waffles, hash browns, breakfast items. So yeah, I guess they don't really have much seafood during the brunch. I did see a little bit, like European breakfast, assorted meats, and they had some smoked salmon that they had wrapped, probably to prevent it from drying out. And they had the peel and eat shrimp that I showed you earlier in the video. But besides that, they didn't really have too much. They had a little bit more. I'll show you in a second. In the Chinese section, they did have some fried shrimp, fried rice, and a couple of other items that weren't very appealing to me because it just didn't look very good. But maybe it is good. I just didn't feel like trying it. The buffet did give me a variety of options, not just the prime rib and one side and a salad. So coming to this buffet, I did have more of a variety. As far as the other seafood items, there weren't much. This is the branzino in a Cajun cream sauce. This looked really interesting. If you're interested in seafood, they do have a seafood night here at the buffet on Fridays. I just don't know how it is and what they have. This buffet did have a Mongolian grill, where you put a lot of different vegetables into a bowl and you put it up on the counter and you pick your protein, and the chef makes this grilled dish for you, Mongolian style. It's actually pretty good. Moving on to other sections of the buffet. This is the Mexican section. It wasn't very impressive either. Grilled Spam? Am I in the Mexican section or the Hawaiian section? Maybe Spam is more universal than I thought. But anyway, the Mexican section looked just average at best. No authentic style street tacos, more of your grocery hard-shelled taco shells. I'll stop by the dessert section to show you what they have. They have a decent selection of pies and cakes and some ice cream, and I think they had gelato too. I didn't plan on getting any dessert because I was pretty full after that prime rib and the first plate. But even though I can't eat as much as I used to, I still like the option to get all kinds of different items here for that one $23, $25 price. One thing that a buffet can offer is variety and an unlimited amount. So you have to decide if that's for you. With that one price, you get an international assortment of foods like Italian, Mexican, Mongolian grill, Chinese, American. So you have all kinds of things to choose from. And it's unlimited. It's just how much can you eat? I didn't have much more room, but I think I can handle a couple of ribs. The ribs didn't look like much when I was up at the carving station, but it turned out to be pretty good. And actually, I was pretty impressed with the ribs. I do recommend the barbecue sauce. Without the barbecue sauce, it might not have anything much. But with the barbecue sauce, these ribs are really good. Very impressed. But these ribs are the last items that I ate. I didn't even eat dessert. And I know I always say you always have room for dessert. But I decided to quit after those ribs. I tapped out. I'm done. It's not the best buffet, but for 23, 25 bucks, the variety and decent quality food, it's pretty fair. I would say it's worth it for me because I can blow 30 bucks on one dish. So if you're looking for variety, South Point Garden Buffet. That'll do it for me now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.